Hi guys, it's Emily and today I'm filming my photography video, which is based on how I take photos as well as what I like to include in photos. It's basically just me trying to give some advice out there from an amateur point of view, as a lot of people are now experts on who I watch on YouTube who focus on photography, and it's like, firstly, I can't afford the things they afford, I don't use an amazing camera, and I think it's just nice to have peer-to-peer kind of discussions about something that we're passionate about and that we just want to experiment with. As you can tell, I'm positioned slightly to the right of the camera or the left. I don't know if this switches during editing, but I'll put the photos that I talk about over here and it'll just be easy for you to know what I'm on about, really. Okay, so the first thing that I focus on every time I take a photo is the meaning behind it. A lot of people will like to take just pretty photos of either people, still life, landscape, anything like that. They'll just maybe want to take pretty photos, and that's perfectly okay. I do it all the time, but sometimes I like my photos have very deep meanings, as I think it can kind of appear attractive to the audience. It can also make people kind of just stop and look at it. I've done this before with anger and sadness, and I love to represent that. I focus a lot of my work on the ideas of depression and anxiety, and including them really dark and close meanings can just represent you as a person as well, and it can really just keep the audience interested when looking at the photos. So if you ever need to take a photo but don't know what to take of, maybe just maybe dig inside of yourself and kind of find that meaning. I know that's so like cringy, but I promise you'll get some excellent photos if you kind of represent yourself through your own photos. Some of my favourite photos which I have taken are usually using weird and random kind of locations. I love using forests as well as areas with a lot of water, or like a swimming pool, because where I live you don't want to go and jump in a lake, you will probably die from the coldness. Or I like to go into these beautiful botanical garden centres that are just filled with flowers and trees, and it can really look beautiful. Here is one of the photos that I did for A-level. I'm not sure what it was for. I think I was representing beauty on the outside, but you can be dark and mean on the inside. This obviously was the happy photos. But I placed my model in a red dress, and recommendations for getting cheap dresses is definitely Boohoo have some nice ones, and you can also go to Amazon and they have really cheap prom dresses and they arrive quickly, and I have kept all of my prom dresses that I have taken photos in, and I've bought around 12 different outfits and they probably come to £100, which isn't that much considering it's 12 outfits. So definitely Amazon if you're looking for prom dresses like this. With the locations, it's also best to match the location sometimes to the outfit. For example, when I was taking my dark grunge photos, I placed my model in a black dress because it matched the darkness of the forest. Whilst when I was doing the water scene photos, as you can see here, I was using a blue dress because it matched the colour of the water. It can just make the photo appear more aesthetically pleasing, and it just really looks nice to the audience. Now we are coming along to makeup. My favourite thing to do is special effects makeup. I have done this for all my Disney shoots mainly, and my favourite one was the one I did for Belle, and I was focusing on domestic abuse, and I had the 3 claw marks down the face. It's really simple to do special effects. The only thing you really need is a bottle of latex. That's all I use. I mean, I do have fake blood and red face paint, but you can quite easily use eyeshadows for bruising and red lipstick for blood and stuff. But the thing with latex is it does smell, but when you put it on the skin, when it comes off it might hurt slightly, but the effect is amazing. It's really worth the price. It's not that expensive, being honest. I've had a bottle for around 4-5 years now and it's still going strong. It still has loads in, and it's just one of the best purchases I've ever made. You can also use cotton buds, and I use cotton buds for bones, cotton pads and toilet paper or kitchen roll for like the skin flakiness, and it always looks amazing, and I'm just really happy with the outcome of that. I also really like to use red lipstick. My favourite thing about red lipstick is it stains a lot of things, and the reason I like that is because I wanted a photo shoot with my model to represent prostitution, and I wanted to have the lipstick smeared across the screen. Of course, I did not want to touch the camera lens with the lipstick, so I used a piece of glass and I held it where the camera would be, like so, and then had my model press her lips against it and smear it. The effect was incredible. I really love doing that photo shoot. You can get so many amazing photos with glass if you get the reflection off the camera or the model. You can get a lovely flare, and you can create a glazed look which appears like an overlay, and you can use a glazed overlay for that. It shouldn't be that expensive to buy glass. You could buy a fish tank and smash it. You can buy anything for glass. It really is so simple to get hold of, and the effect just does not look simple. It looks incredible. Talking about reflections, another reflection that is really good is mirrors. I love using mirrors to create you can create all sorts. You can use CDs kind of as a reflection for rainbow effects. You can use I don't know what they're called. I'll put a photo here, but I don't know what they're called. To create a multi-layer kind of effect of different people, because you can see the faces all around, or create the rainbow lighting. You can also use mirrors again to reflect either the background. You can Photoshop it to create a different effect. For example, one of my favourite photographers, I'm going to assume her name is Laura Williams. She uses mirrors a lot and puts it over her body, and it creates this really trippy effect and just looks super abstract and amazing. But to get hold of a mirror is super easy. I recommend going on Amazon. I bought 3 circled mirrors which created this effect. I then bought a long kind of sheer one, which wasn't the best advice, because when you bent it, it would reflect me but create like a weird effect, and if you want that, that's perfectly fine, but that's not what I wanted. So it did create a weird kind of mirrored layered effect, but I love the mirrors so much. And if you get one and smash it up, let me tell you how much fun that is to get your anger out on a mirror. And then you can hold it above your eyes. One turned into a heart that looked like perfect there, and it was just a really good effect. I absolutely loved it. For a party shoot I was doing, I used a lot of confetti. There is many reasons why this was a bad idea. For instance, it got stuck in the camera. It then got stuck all over the room, in the floor. There was confetti all over the house, and it was a mess. But it looked great. I recommend getting someone to help you for this, because it's very hard to either get your model to do it whilst doing a straight face, or it's hard for me to take the photo even on a tripod if I'm using one, and to do the confetti at the same time. That is also very difficult. But you can also do that and then get your model to throw it up, and make sure that your shutter speed is on very fast, because if it's a high number on the shutter speed, you're going to be able to capture more and it will just look really good. You kind of get these effects. You can make GIFs from them, and just have, like, since you have light and they're quite reflective objects, you can get the light reflecting off the confetti, making it easier to look at. It's just a really nice thing to look at, really. I have 2 more things to talk about. The first thing I'm going to talk about is lighting. I only just experimented with coloured lighting because I was not able to afford the lighting equipment. For example, I have the 2 light setups with the umbrellas, but I don't have the light where it's just LEDs and then you can have a gel overlay on top of them. I don't have them, they're very expensive, and me being a poor girl, I can't afford them. But luckily my school lent me some, and I created these kind of photos. To do this kind of photo, my advice would be to do red on one side of the model and then to also have blue on the other side. It just kind of clashes towards each other and they don't mess, like they don't, can't think what, blend, but it creates like a really nice contrast and it still lights up the photo. And obviously if this goes wrong in post-production, do not worry, because when in post-production, which is editing, you can easily take the photo, and if you're using Lightroom, you can use the, what's it called? graduated tool, maybe graduated filter, something like that. And then if you're using Photoshop, you can use the gradient tool and put it as an overlay or a screen effect. It depends what your photo looks like, I guess. But it creates a really cool photo. This one is one where I only used one colour, yet when I edited it I was able to do the different colours towards it. I hope that makes sense. It's really hard to explain photos without actually looking at the photos because I don't have them anywhere around me. So yeah, the final thing which I'm going to be talking about is editing. I am not the best at editing. In fact, I don't like editing. I prefer to take my photos and then maybe put a bit of contrast in them or something like that, but I hate editing them loads. But one of my favourite things that I ever edited was it was to reflect on global warming and to look at the effects of humans living in water with animals. And I did this by using a swimming pool, like I mentioned before, with the blue dress. But the fish are not real in this photo, they are photoshopped in. And I did this by using a PNG of a fish and a PNG of a ripple. That just means they have a transparent background behind them in case nobody knew. But I basically just edited them in and put them as an overlay and created this really cool effect around them. It made it look so realistic and really helped to bring the photo to life. I got so many compliments for the photos and everyone kept asking if they were real fish, and I was like, no, I'm not going to be cruel to fish like that. Through editing, I also really like to use the Clarify tool. This just creates a very high contrast, sharpened photo, and it's my favourite thing to do ever. It just makes it look so grunge and cool and interesting. And I did it with some of the photos, as you can see now, which are just really, I'm just really happy with how they turned out through this filter, and I really enjoyed editing these simply because you can experiment with the sharpness of them and make them just appear really interesting, I guess. I'm really sorry if this video was boring and I went way too fast. I'm kind of on a time crunch because my teachers keep asking me to go back to school, and I'm like, okay, great, because I'm there till 8 PM tonight helping out at opening evening, and yeah, it's just a right mess. I hope you enjoyed this video, even if it was boring and even if I talked forever. But if you want to check out any of my links below, I would really appreciate it. I never ever ask you guys to check them out because I really don't think they're that good, but hey, who knows, you might like them if you go on my Facebook page. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm being stared at by cars right now because they're all parked outside the house. I'm sorry if this was noisy. You're basically on a plant pot. Yeah, you're on a plant pot. I can't be able to get my tripod. But thank you for watching, guys. Have a lovely day. Bye!